Hi guys, welcome to today's class. So today we're going to be looking at the first topic, the very first, which is economics as a science. And in this class, we are concerned with the basic concepts in economics. But to further, set us up to that basic concept, I have to go back a bit and define the concept economics itself. Now, economics has various definitions as given by numerous scholars, but we've come to now pick the definition given by the British economist, Professor Lionel Charles Robbins. We've come to pick his definition as the most widely acceptable one. And he defined economics as a science that studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. So in his words, he said that economics is a science that studies human behavior. Based on this definition, I cannot pinpoint certain things. Now, the first of which is that what economics is a science. So now, economics is a science because we adopt scientific methods to come about conclusions that regards human behavior. But unlike pure sciences and other sciences, in economics we refer to it as a social science subject. And why is it a social science subject? Because the subject matter in this case happens to be human behavior, and human behavior cannot be controlled, cannot be looked at in a laboratory. Neither can we predict with full accuracy. So because we study human behavior, it becomes a social science subject. And now the reason why we study human behavior is because there is a functional relationship between two variables, which is ends and means. So now ends here happen to be the first of the basic concepts. And now when we say ends, hence we are referring to human wants. And human wants happen to be unlimited in nature, meaning they are never ending. The more you have, the more you want. And owing to that fact, I might as well as say that human wants are insatiable. That means you can never be fully satisfied. Now the second of the concept we now have here is now what we call the means. And if ends are human wants, means are now those resources that we need in satisfying human wants. So they are similar to those, factors of production whereby you have your land, your labor, your capital, and your entrepreneur. So this can be like your natural resources, your human resources, and so on. Now in this case, human resources now happens to be limited, and in that same manner, I might as well as say that they are scarce in nature, and that's how we came about the scarcity. So the functional relationship is that while my ends is having this unlimited nature, my resources having a limited nature. So because of these two things, now brings about another concept called scarcity. Now scarcity means that I do not have enough to satisfy all of what I want. So because of the advent of scarcity, we now come across another basic concept, which is called choice. Now the idea here is, if I want so many items and I'm only able to afford a few of those items, it means I now have to pick out of all those items to be satisfied. So choice has to do with picking one or more out of humans unlimited ones in order to satisfy. And now an economist is now concerned with the rationality of a choice. So if my choice is rational, it is then okay for me to make that. So it is important to know that an economist is not concerned with the morality of a choice. So if I decide to buy a gun, if it is beneficial to me on a rational scale, it is okay to buy it. But we know if you tell your pastor or your cleric that you want to buy a gun, they are going to look at it from the moral aspect and tell you that, it is bad for you to buy. But as an economist, we are not looking at it from the morality aspect, but rather we are operating on the basis of rationality. Now, since ends and means resulted in scarcity, and because of scarcity we have to make a choice, it now leads to the next concept, which is now called my scale of preference. Now, scale of preference means out of all those numerous ones that I have, I am now able to arrange them in a way that the top of the list happens to have what is, has no utmost priority. So let's say in a case study where I'm a student and I need books and writing materials calculator, let's say shoes, clothes, let's say a laptop. So let's say this happens to be all of my wants, then because I have to make choice owing to the fact that I do not have enough resources to get everything on my list, I now have to make choice, I now have to go to what is called my scale of preference. So I'm probably going to write all of this list in their order of importance. Probably my books come first, my shoes comes next, let's say my writing materials, let's say my clothes, and my calculator and laptop. Now what I've done there is I've rearranged all of these items here according to their order of priority. So now after we've done our scale of preference, we now have the last of which is called the opportunity cost. And now this is how opportunity cost works. If after drafting this out, I'm able to buy this, and I no longer have enough to buy this. Now these items that I were not able to buy is now called my opportunity cost, not the amount of the items. So clothes, calculator, and laptop in this case, they happen to be my opportunity cost. So what does that mean? It means that my opportunity cost are those items that I am sacrificing in order to get other items in my scale of preference. So basically, ends are human wants, they are unlimited and insatiable. Means are resources, they are limited, that they are not enough, or better still, they are scarce. Now scarcity means that what I do not have enough to get all of what I want, and because of that we now have to make choice, which means I am picking one or more items out of my numerous list of items. The scale of preference means I'm rearranging all of those things that I want in their order of priority. The most important comes first, and downwards till we get to the bottom chain. And finally, opportunity costs are those items that I'm sacrificing in order to get other items. And most times we tend to call this alternative forgone. So basically, that's all we have to do in basic concept. So in the next class, we are going to be looking at basic economic problem, because that's also a subtopic of this. After which we look at production possibility frontier, and that will be all for economics as a science. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.